If this isn't the feel good story of the summer, Mike, I really don't know what is. Honestly, I don't know that there's a more heartwarming story that's gone on in the sport of drag racing here in 2021 than a second generation racer who spent most of his life at the drag strip. A Midwest guy. He grew up 80 miles from where I grew up. He's a local legend where I come from. I mean, he's literally, everybody knows this cat. A man who's fought the good fight, worn many hats, done whatever he has had to do to remain involved at a high level in the sport of drag racing. And this past weekend reminded you, me, the whole drag racing community what this dude is capable of behind the wheel of a Nitro Funny car, of any race car for that matter, when he filled in for the second week in a row for Matt Hagan, who's battling COVID and appears to be on the mend. Shout out to our buddy Matt. Your Mopar Express Lane NHRA Nationals winner, the one, the only, Tommy Johnson Jr. Welcome, brother.
Man, I was wondering who was going to be on the show. That was pretty cool.
Oh, no. You had to know it was you. What's up, buddy? Thank you for joining us, man.
No problem. Love it. Glad to be here.
Man, we feel really privileged to get to do this every Wednesday afternoon. Talk about drag racing with our friends all around the world. Technology, it's an incredible thing. The platform that we're given to be able to connect with people here, there, and everywhere else, and also shine a light on people such as yourself. Joey Oaksis early in the show, Greg Anderson to start the show. Giving you guys a platform to be visible, to be in front of people, to talk shop, to talk about yourselves, to tell your story. I think it's lacking in our sport, and it's something that I really take great pride in, because 16 years ago when we started Drag Illustrated, our mission, we had conversations about this every month and all the time, that we want to put faces to the names on the windows, right? We see those names in vinyl on Lexan so frequently, but most of the time, we don't know what that guy sounds like. We don't know, is he a jerk? Is he a nice guy? Is he kind of arrogant? Is he laid back? What's he look like? What's he sound like? And we take great pride in being able to shine a light on people such as yourself. So thank you so much for playing along, being a part of this, man. It's been a roller coaster, Tommy. I cannot imagine how you feel. A roller coaster of a couple of weeks for you, from getting the call to fill in for Matt at the NHRA National, the biggest NHRA event, the biggest drag race on the planet, the NHRA US Nationals, to the DNQ and all that drama is surrounding it, to winning this past weekend at Maple Grove in incredible fashion. What has this whole experience been like for Tommy Johnson Jr.?
You nailed it. I mean, an emotional roller coaster for sure. It's been a rough year. Not being on the tour, not racing, and sitting at home and watching it on TV, and wishing you were out there. I mean, it's all I've done all my entire life, and all of a sudden it's gone, and you're a little spiteful. You're like, oh man, I wish I was out there, and then after a while you just become accustomed to it, and you're like, whatever, I don't even want it now. Well, you do want it, you really do want to be out there. And I was walking around the pits. I was in Indy. I live about 3 miles from the racetrack there in Indy, and I got a text that says, "Are you at the track?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm out here. Why wouldn't I be out here?" And then a minute later, I get a phone call from Dickie Venables that says, "Hey, can you drive our car? We need a driver." I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And he says, "Well, okay, we're going to run a little bit, so get your stuff and get over here." I'm thinking, it's like 2 hours. We're going to Q1s in 2 hours. Are you sure? So I jumped in my truck, ran home, and got my stuff from last year. I grabbed a fire suit, grabbed my helmet. I had to move the cabinet. I got them at some cabinets. I moved them out of the way, pulled the helmets out of the cabinets, grabbed all my stuff, back to the track in 30 minutes. They had ran to the shop and got my seat out of my car from last year, plugged it in, and 45 minutes after he called me, I was in the car warming it up and ready to go. And it was unfortunate, a push-pull pin and the wheel bar breaks. I mean, I've never heard of it ever breaking a push-pull pin, and it gets stuck to the tire, and they tell me shut it off. I looked up Dickie, and he's telling me shut it off. I'm like, "Are you sure?" And so then it rains all day the next day. I'm thinking that weekend was like giving a kid an ice cream cone, and they go to take a lick, and you smack it out of their hand. So not so fast, And so it was. I was excited when the phone call came. Then I got nervous on the way home driving to get my stuff. I'm thinking, man, I hope I can do this. This is nothing like getting shoved in Q1 at Indy at nighttime. Haven't driven in 10 months. Hope I can do this. But then it not happening, and you think, well, that was almost fun, And then he called on Sunday night and said, "Hey, let's test. Let's make a couple test runs on Tuesday. I don't know if you're going to run Reading or not, but if you do, I'd like to be a little more prepared than just a couple hour notice." So made a couple test runs. Felt great to get back in the car again and just, okay, yes, I remember how to do this. This is great. And then getting the call Wednesday, yes, you're in for Reading, and booking flights and booking hotels and doing all that. And to show up out there and just, I mean, one of the best weekends I've ever had. Just relaxed, fun, no pressure. You're a fill-in. You're not in the points. You're not. You haven't been racing all season, and just to get to go do it and just be around the people again, and kind of get back in the seat of the car, and it all went perfect. I mean, it's just all you couldn't have asked for anything better. So it's just been a tremendous amount of roller coaster. And then again this week to get the call and say you're not going this weekend. It's oh well, okay, but you make the most of that and just be thankful for the opportunity that happened.
Do you think, well, I have a couple of questions, but do you think demonstrating like you did that you did a fantastic job, and we're going to talk about this, like anytime you were on camera, I was quickly reminded, and I maybe look at this stuff through a slightly different lens. I'm always looking at people that are like marketable, great ambassadors that can play the part, can do those things that are the intangibles, so to speak. I mean, you've proven that you can drive a race car at a high level, but you really reminded us of the personality that you are out here, the ambassador you are for our sport. Does it like, do you have a desire to maybe parlay this into like, hey, I've still got the fire, I've still got the ability, let's find a way to get me in a car full time as soon as possible?
Absolutely. I mean, everybody always asks, what are you doing to try to get back in a car? Are you out there soliciting? Are you out there? And you just nailed it. I'm a race car driver, and I understand the marketing side of it as far as a driver representing a company and what you have to do, the appearances, the on camera stuff, the signing autographs. I get that. I got no problem doing it. I understand it. I know how it works, and I'll do a great job. But I'm not a marketing guy. I don't know how to pitch a company, and I've tried to find people to help me do that and to go pitch deals. But I says, once you get me a deal, I'll take care of it. I know how to go out and drive the race car and win races, and I know what else needs to be done off the track. The off the track stuff is probably more important than driving the race car. Unfortunately, you would want somebody in a car that's capable of winning a race, but at the same time, there's a lot more involved nowadays than driving that race car. And it's funny. My dad always told me, he said, "There's a lot more to driving a race car than driving the car." And I don't know how many times he told me that, a lot, and you had to take it to granted. I mean, that's probably driving the race car is the smallest part of the whole program, and to get that opportunity just to remind people and show them, hey, this is what I got. Come and get me. I mean, I don't know where to go to find them, so here, come find me. And
Well, it's interesting because it's a unique situation because you can't imagine, and I know, and it's hard. I love making like comparisons and drawing parallels to stick and ball sports and things like that. But these situations such that you find yourself in, Tommy, it's like a super talented quarterback that has somehow gone undrafted or like somehow hasn't got picked up. This super talented free agent that's ready, willing, and able, and he's just sitting there. And it's a heartbreaking situation. And I'm hoping as our country kind of stabilizes, marketing budgets get freed back up, people kind of get the NHRA, despite what some people like to say, I mean, this is a fantastic platform right now. I mean, the crowd we saw in Maple Grove, the crowd we saw in Indy, there's energy, there's enthusiasm, competition. What we lack in car count, perhaps we have made up for in terms of the quality of the cars and the quality of the competition on the track. I think it's a great time for the sport of drag racing, and here's hoping from this conversation to God's ears or whatever that someone's paying attention that can make it happen, because I think the sport of drag racing is genuinely better with you in it, Tommy. And you touched on something that I want to dive right into. During your winter circle, your post-race interview, it was so great to see you doing that again. You talked about how meaningful it was to win this race because of the memories you have racing at Maple Grove with your dad and all the racing you did with your dad, Tommy Johnson Sr. Tommy meant a lot to me. Not only was he a great customer, I mean, he honestly supported us at Drag Illustrated magazine. I believe he had an ad in the first issue we ever printed. 170 issues ago, he had an ad in the magazine, and he was always a vocal supporter. He'd call me out when he thought I did something wrong or I said something that I shouldn't have. He kept me honest for a long time. He was a cancer survivor, and I'm not sure that we've had conversations about this, but Tommy certainly knew, your dad certainly knew, that both my parents are cancer survivors. My mom's still battling breast cancer. My dad, somehow, some way, by the grace of God, survived a terminal cancer diagnosis. and has been in remission for about 10 years now. And your dad's book, your dad's encouragement, and just his willingness to kind of fight, like not just lay down and take it, made a huge difference in my life, my family's life. Tommy, he meant a lot to our sport. Can you just tell us a little bit about how special it was to score that win? I mean, I got chills, my hair's standing up on my neck. I mean, you pointing to the sky and holding that Wally, man, that's like I said, if that's not the feel good movie of the summer, I don't know what is, brother.
Yeah, it was. It was, it all went back to, I mean, I wouldn't have the career I have if it wasn't for my dad. Eddyville Dragway. I went there every Saturday with my dad. He raced there every weekend, and I grew up there at the track. I mean, I didn't know that you weren't supposed to do anything but drag race in life. I mean, that's what I was taught is we drag race. And so from a small kid starting to race there on a three-wheel motorcycle and growing up there racing every weekend and eventually getting into the cars and then being able to have his support through those years. And he says, let's try to go run some national events and be able to go from there and just continue to grow and his support and pushing. And, he loved drag racing more than anybody I ever know. I mean, he loved it more than I did. I mean, everything was drag racing with him. And once in a while I'd like, Dad, okay, enough racing. Let's talk about this, but him, no, he wanted to talk about drag racing all the time. And, he did. He fought a lot of battles. He got his nickname 9 Lives years ago. He had a race car wreck at Eddyville Dragway and spent about 3.5 months in intensive care and wasn't expected to make it. And he did. And they nicknamed him 9 Lives. And, his battle with cancer, they gave him about 3 months to live. And he said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not ready to go yet. So he kind of charted his own path and looked for some other ways to beat it and did and was, lived for 25 years after that, So he had couple other battles with cancer along the way that nobody really knew about and kept stuck to his regimen and beat those as well. So it's unfortunate that there wasn't any signs that there was maybe a stroke coming and to prevent that. But, he lived a great life, and I appreciate all the memories throughout the years of all the racetracks we went to. And like any family, we fought like cats and dogs at the track, disagreeing on how to do stuff. And at the end of the day, we celebrated whatever we did, together. So it was unreplaceable memories. And I was telling my wife, my dad and I used to go to Reading, and I drove the truck in, and he must have flew in that weekend. He came, and there's big scratches down the side of the truck, and he's getting on me about, look at the truck. Well, what'd you do? And I said, did you see the road into this place? How was I supposed to not scratch the side of the truck? Like there's trees everywhere, and it brought back all those memories. So to go out there and do that Sunday was just incredible, and I felt a calm all Sunday. I was as most relaxed I've ever been in a race car. You would think being out of a car for 10 months and jumping back in and getting shoved right back in the fire, you'd be nervous and do all that. That's the calmest I've ever been in a race car. And I don't know if it was a little bit of him riding along with me or what, but it was a special day for sure. And just to be able to, I didn't think I'd ever, there's times you go, well, I don't know if I'm even going to ever get a drive again. I don't know if the opportunity will ever come about again. And to get this so fast shoved in and go, and it just something felt right about it. And I'm just really happy with the chance to honor him like that.
It was, again, it's such a feel good moment. And it was an absolute loss to the sport of drag racing. Your dad had a great just perspective. I think that he'd been in the business for so long, eat, sleep, breathe this stuff, that he had a lot of insight that he could offer about how things, what works, what doesn't work. I'm curious, like you talked earlier about knowing how to do all the things. I got to tell you, I recognized that early on. You didn't know me from Adam when my dad and I were running up to Ottumwa, Iowa to Tommy Johnson's to buy performance parts or whatever. And I remember being in that shop under the bridge there in Ottumwa, just looking at, I think you guys had just signed the deal with Mopar or whatever, the black, white, red deal. And I'm looking at the truck and trailer looks perfect. The cars on Projects out there looking perfect. Where did that knowledge of like playing the part come from? Because you said that you understand that part of it. Is that something that you guys just acquired over time? Because you seem to really know how to deliver on the song. And I mean, I can understand why your dad was pissed off about the trailer, because the thing looked good, right? I mean, the deal looked nice. Everything you guys did look nice. Where did that understanding of the need to put on a show, that showbiz angle, where did that come from, Tommy?
Yeah, my dad, he was never afraid to tell you how he was thinking. I mean, he called it like it was and never pulled any punches. And sometimes you didn't want to hear what he had to say, but he was going to say it anyway because that's how he felt. So it probably started with him, and then he had a very good perspective and coaching me along the way of look at other people that are successful and see what they do and learn from it, and try to apply those same things to what you do, and model yourself after that. And the snake, you looked at Snake stuff, and Snake always said, we may not have won the race, but we look like we should have. And you take that and you put it in your bank, and you make your stuff look good. Make yourself look like you should be the winner. And Kenny Bernstein taught me a lot of lessons along the way. And one time Kenny taught me that you never know who the guy is on the other side of the ropes. He told me the story about getting the Prolong sponsorship back in the day. This guy in this big cowboy hat stood out behind the ropes all day, and Kenny just kept watching him and thought, there's something off about that guy. There's something not right. And Kenny walked out and started talking to him, and end of the day signed a sponsorship with Prolong. So he says, you never know who that person is. And so you take all those valuable lessons, and you learn them, and you just learn how to operate. And I used to watch interviews and see how the guys talked on TV and who the successful guys were, what they said, and just model yourself after that, and try to learn and take little bits and pieces from everybody and put them all together. And my dad, telling me that there's more to driving the race car than driving the car was so accurate that, you have to learn how to manufacture and do all that stuff. And I hated doing interviews. I hated them when I first started. I didn't like doing interviews, but I learned that you've got to learn how to do this. And my English teacher in high school, I started learning how to do impromptu speeches, because that's what we do. We do impromptu speeches. There's no outline. There's no speech you prepare for a lot of the stuff we do. And you have to learn to be able to think on your feet, and picked up on that stuff. So you just start putting all this stuff together, and in the meantime, you got to be pretty good at driving a car as well. So you got to practice all that. So it takes a lot of work. And I tell everybody's always asking, how do I get involved in this sport? How do I become this? And I said, it takes a tremendous amount of work, a lot of passion, a lot of dedication, and a lot of sacrifice. There's stuff throughout your life. You have to choose your path, and you either go out with your friends to the lake every weekend, or you go to the racetrack, or you go to the shop and work on the car, and you just forget about that stuff. And you have to decide what you want to do. And I told my dad, I want to do this. And he says, well, you can't go to college and race cars, so you got to pick a path. And I said, I'm doing this, and there was no option. There was no backup plan. You just make it work. So you do what you got to do.
It's interesting because I think a lot of times the people who succeed are the ones that don't have a backup plan. I almost think that it should be like the title of a book. You want to succeed? Don't have a backup plan. Because, we've experienced it so many times just with people getting involved with the magazine. We've had people come like, hey man, what can I do I want to work for the magazine? I want to go to drag races or whatnot. I'm like, hey man, I've got a guy that has worked for us for 12 years selling subscriptions to the magazine. He earns a very good living, travels all over the country, doing what he wants to do, sets his own schedule, and goes to the drag races. And like, oh, well, I want to give that a try. Well, they try to do it while they're also working their 9 to 5. Right? Or they've got this other job, and they always comment, man, I didn't sell nothing. I sold like 6 subscriptions. What, that's impossible. And I said, yeah, it's because you've got option to sell 6 subscriptions. Because if you didn't have an option to sell 6 subscriptions, if you had to sell 100, guess how many you would have sold? You'd have sold 100. And it's so funny, man. So you know what? God bless not having a backup plan, right? God bless that those situations, those dire situations, oftentimes produce the best results. Mike, I want to bring JT, bring my co-host Mike Carpenter in here, kind of for our final part of the conversation here. Mike, we've talked about what's happened. We've talked about how far this deal has come, but I think we got to get into what's next for Tommy.
Yeah, absolutely. But before we do that, I wanted to touch on Tommy. I actually knew your dad. I know him. I don't think that you and I have met maybe in person, but I definitely knew your dad through my dad here in Mooresville, North Carolina. My dad and your dad connected. I think we bought some trailer parts from him. And when my dad had his stroke, your dad stayed in contact with me almost weekly, checking on him, even went to visit him. And I swear, I think it was maybe a week before he had his own stroke. He checked in on me and checked in on my dad, asking how he was progressing in his stroke recovery. So to see the news of what happened with your dad just a week later, it really hit us all hard. And I wanted to send my condolences to you and your family from me and my family as well. So just these terrible circumstances that kind of bring us together. But so I wanted to mention that and just let you know that we were thinking about you guys. But
he's a special dude, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah, as we saw on Twitter earlier today, And we talked about when we opened the segment here with you, Hagan's back. He's been cleared after the COVID deal. You filled in so admirably. So what happens now? We talked about you kind of staying out there, or you put your best I guess
forward.
stick and ball sport, or to relate to stick and ball sports, you put your best game on film. Now that's out there, what does Tommy Johnson Jr. go and do this weekend? What do you do in the time until that phone rings and you get your next ride?
I'm not a very good spectator. I'm in Charlotte in Mooresville, and with my mom's house, and gonna do a little memorial for my dad Thursday night out at the track. My sister wanted to do something. There's so many, we lived in Iowa for so many years, and he moved down here and got to be friends with everybody down here, and to go out to the races here all the time. So we'll do a little something for him on Thursday night out at the racetrack, and I'll go out there this weekend for a little bit. I told my wife I don't know if I can go out there every day. It's
Right.
after getting that little bit of taste last weekend, after sitting out for a while, it's like going to be hard to go back out there and watch again. I've watched a little bit off and on throughout the year. Some weekends I don't mind watching a little bit on TV. The other weekends I can't stand it. So it was the perfect opportunity to audition and say, hey, don't forget about me. I can still do this. This is a fast-paced sport we live in, and they forget about you in a hurry. And a few years ago, I'd been out of the seat for a little while. I continued to go. I was there at every race. I spent all my own money going to these races and being there every week. And it kept me in front of everybody so they didn't forget about you. And it led to the opportunity probably with Terry Chandler, because I was at the track and got to know Terry. And just when that opportunity arose, we worked it out because I was at the events every weekend. And I haven't done it this time. You just have to go with your gut instinct. And I didn't feel like that would benefit me at all right at the moment. And so I needed an opportunity, and an opportunity came. And when they do, you have to make the most of them. And I don't know that I could have scripted to go any better than it went last weekend. That was as good as it got. I mean, I put all the cards on the table. Here it is, boys. This is it. It's all I got, and to have it work out like it did. And the fan response has just been incredible. That's been one of the heart touching things about this whole week afterwards is all the fans welcoming you back, and the support they've given you, and the comments you see. And, that's really what it's all about. If you can touch these people and you have fans like that. The Saturday night or Friday night at Indy, when they announced I was going to be driving for Matt, the crowd made a huge roar. I could hear it in the car, my helmet on, strapped in. You could hear the crowd, and I said, that's all I needed right there. That's all I needed. I said, I've evidently done something right along the way, and nobody booed, so I'm good. So it's now we just kind of wait and see. I mean, I've tried pitching a few deals this year and not without success, but you never know what's going to happen. There's people out there pitching stuff all the time. And like you said, the crowd last weekend, oh my God, it was unbelievable. The packed house, and Indy was a great crowd, and we're starting to see things come back and go the right direction. And I hate that there's low car counts. I think there's plenty of capable drivers out there right now that can do a great job. And if we can get some more cars and get some more people involved, man, it'll be great. It'll be back in full force. But in the meantime, we'll continue to press on. And I've got a parts business where I sell consumables to people, all the fuel teams and everything that they go through every weekend. I keep feeding the team. So I'm in contact with the teams every week. I know what's going on in the world of drag racing. Got a very good pulse of what's happening. So you just keep your ears open. And, I think Matt got a lot better Sunday afternoon. His condition seemed to improve greatly Sunday. As the day went on, he got better and better, I think. So I look forward to trying to get back out there. I mean, it's something I love to do, and I think I got a few more good years in me, and I think last weekend showed that there wasn't any rust. I'm ready to go. So I said, put me in, coach. I was kidding Forrest at the top end when he came over. I said, you got any empty cars over there? I'm available. So we'll just keep throwing that out there till somebody bites.
I think it's key, staying ready, like you said, and having a business that is so closely tied with these fuel teams keeps you at the top of their mind all the time. So, yeah, thanks for that insight. That was my main question is how do you stay ready for that opportunity without, just beating down the door every day?
Yeah, it's funny. My dad, I started this parts business, I don't know, maybe 8-10 years ago, and really wasn't looking to get into the parts business. My dad had been in the mail order business. He'd sold his business. And when I kind of got into this, he said, I didn't think you wanted to sell parts. I said, well, sometimes you do what you know, and I worked a lot of years there selling parts for him and then boxing stuff up and shipping it out the door. And sometimes you do fall back on what you know. So it was just kind of a natural fit and kind of fell into my lap, and it's been okay. It's not a huge business, but it's kind of a niche that everybody says, "What do you sell?" I says, "Well, you open the cabinet door in the trailer, and they say we're out of that again." I sell it to them, so they come to my place and get it all, and they go to the next race. So it's a great way to stay in touch with what's going on with everybody and kind of get all the lowdown of the rumors, what's going on out there.
I think having those a niche business like that is a smart play, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
I think specialization is like as important here in 2021 as ever. You know what I mean? Like it's good to be that guy that does this specific thing. I'll leave you with this, Tommy. We head into the second race of the countdown. Going in there, Hagan, was vying for a championship. We just had him on the show talking about how, man, things look good for you to do this deal again. Gets COVID, misses a race, the car DNQs. Kind of an interesting situation this year with the car earning points and whatnot, a big departure from the typical situation in the NHRA. But now I just pulled it up. Like, Matt's back in second place, 5 points out of the lead behind John Force. Like, I'm just curious, as a closing comment, how incredible would it be to have played a role in Matt ultimately winning a world championship here in 2021? Because it gives me, I mean, goosebumps. Everybody's going to be. We've turned me getting goosebumps into a bit of a drinking game. I do it all the time, but it does. It gives me goosebumps to think about how you could have. You may well have had a invaluable, cannot be overstated role in Matt winning this championship if that is what comes to pass.
Yeah, I told him when we were doing this and we went to Reading, I said it's kind of funny. Last year, he and I were battling it out to try to see who win the championship. And now this year, I'm trying to help him win it again. I don't understand that, but yeah, it will be. It's very unique, and everybody has opinions. I mean, I've seen a lot of people say, "Well, that's not fair. He shouldn't be getting the points and stuff." But we're living a different time. I mean, this is a different thing that's going on. I mean, I've driven a race car sick as a dog. I mean, and climbed right in there and had to do it. But this is different. It's a contagious disease. It's much more contagious than a lot of other things that go on. And you can't afford to make that many people endanger the team. What if he had passed it on to everybody on the team, and then all of a sudden in DSR all the teams have it, and then now you're short 3 or 4 more cars this weekend because the entire teams are out of business. So I fully understand, and I've always been a person that said no, the driver has to be there. That's what it is. You're going to win a championship. It's you have to be and win it that year. But this is a different situation, and I think it's good that they probably stepped up and made it to where. It's safety first. I mean, drag racing, we've always been about safety. And when it comes to something like this, it needs to be about safety as well. So, yeah, it would be very cool, very neat, very interesting. And I've got all kinds of little, stupid trivia things of my career drag racing that's happened. It's in the books, and you go, wow, that was weird. I was a part of it, But this would be another one that would be very, very different. And I know everybody said last year, is there an asterisk by the championship Matt won last year? Because it was only a 12-race season and we only ran 12 races, there was no countdown. It's different. Well, this might be another little asterisk beside it. But, yeah, I told him, I says, do I get a championship trophy if you win this thing? So I did take the trophy home last week and told them they were going to have a hard time getting it away from me because it's my house now. It's mine. It's over. So, it'd be neat. I mean, it would be something that put your name in the record books. And if I was able to help them out and if it would help me along the way as well. So maybe it's beneficial to everybody.
I sure think so, man. And Tommy, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us. Incredible insight. Great to see you on here, man. It's so weird. A lot of times being from the Midwest, all the cool stuff that happens in drag racing is like on the East Coast, on the West Coast, or like in the Deep South, right? And you feel like on a little bit of an island. I mean, there's no water to be found, but you find yourself in Southeast Iowa feeling like you're on a little bit of an island there. And it's just it's kind of a fun experience for me to hear any other human being say the phrase Eddyville Raceway Park, right? I mean, it makes me feel good. That was my first job in drag racing, is running that place. And what a job they've done keeping it alive all these years. The money that's been spent, it's still an incredible facility that has great races all the time, man. It's great to see.
From when we started there, it's an incredible facility now.
Gosh.
They have no idea what it was like back in the day,
Primarily cornfield and gravel. People don't have any idea. It's a real gem out there outside of Oskaloosa, and it's been fun to see, to be honest, Tommy. And you're an inspiration to many of us, myself included, to know that young guys that did what you did. I didn't go to college. I went for like 14 days and decided I'd rather go to drag races. And here we are, man. And it's a great reminder that if you follow your passion, you work hard, you do the right things, that by God, sometimes it can work out. And let's hope. I mean, from all of us here at Drag Illustrated, and I think I speak on behalf of the racing community, man. The sport's better with you in it, with you actively involved, and we love seeing you behind the wheel. But it was even better to see you in the winner's circle, brother. And I hope we get to see you at the drag races again here real soon.
Appreciate it, guys. Yeah, and I love the you talk about the Midwest people. I love when I go to the races. A lot of faces and friends that come to the races, come by and say hi and cheer you on, and that's what means a lot to have those people from our home area still support you and still proud of you. And I'm just proud to represent them. And I watch you all the time because you're a Midwest boy.
Well, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it, dude. Incredible interview, great job, and I hope to see if you come to Texas for the Stampede of Speed at Texas Motor Speedway. I don't know if you're going to be in town, but if you do, I'll track you down. All right, maybe we can break bread.
I'll bring my helmet.
That's probably a smart play at this day and age. Thanks, Tommy.
No problem. Thanks, guys.
Oh my goodness, this is.